and welcome to Beyond Reproach. It's me, Stephanie.
Ta-da!
I did it all by myself. I'm wearing those floating water wings right now, and I just want you to watch me swim because I did it all by myself.
And it is I, Tuxedo.
Ooh, full name.
Yes.
Tuxedo. Wow, I am honored.
Yeah, that's me, Tuxedo over here.
I come to you from Italy. I come to you from Firenze, where I'm recording on land belonging to Proto-Italians.
Them Italians over there. And I come to you from Detroit, Michigan, where I record on land belonging to the Ojibwe, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Wyandot nations.
Yes, those nations are some of many still very much out here doing their thing, and we would like to acknowledge that.
Heck yes.
Thank you. I'm like, pause for the show enough. I paused. So this is a mini, y'all. We don't got no format. We're doing whatever we want. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So last week I did my story on October surprises, and you asked me to elaborate on some October surprises. But first and foremost, I have to say that I am a total liar.
Oh.
Last week I called Stephanie.
Okay, stop trying to be me, number one.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, I am the liar on this show.
Yeah.
I am the one issuing apologies left and right. Because
I did call Stephanie a liar in her story earlier this month.
What did you say exactly? You said that I have spun a yarn.
Yes, I spun a yarn. Yes. I did accuse her of spinning a yarn. But as it turns out, I too am spinning yarns over here.
Okay.
In my story last week, I said that the term October surprise had been around for well over 100 years, but that is incorrect. I think what happened was, I think I misunderstood or misinterpreted some piece of information that came up in my research that was sort of deemed unimportant in the moment. So I didn't fully digest what it was saying.
Totally happens.
Yeah. It wasn't exactly pertinent, or I thought it wasn't exactly pertinent to the story I was trying to tell. So I allowed it to enter my mind. It sat there for a moment, and then I crumpled it up and threw it out the window.
Yes.
Yeah, these stories are hard to write. So what can I say? Well,
You're fired.
I know.
You're fired.
Try and replace me. Just try.
That is true. Yeah. Oh God, the horror.
I'm invaluable. Gotcha.
It's true.
So one of the first known October surprises did take place in the 1840s, which is what I said last week. The actual term October surprise was not actually coined until the 1980 presidential election between Reagan and Carter.
No way.
Yes. Yeah. I missed that or misinterpreted that in my research. Okay. The first person to ever actually use the term October surprise was none other than William Casey, Reagan's campaign manager. The very same man who Gary Sick accused of organizing the plot to keep the hostages in Iran until after the election.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. Now, I did read while I was trying to research this, I did read that some people believe that the term could have been used in 1972. But in my sort of brief research online, I couldn't find any actual evidence of that. I did sort of read a couple people say something about 72, but I couldn't find any actual quotes of anyone using those exact words. And most of the articles that I read, including Wikipedia, say that it was William Casey who used those words for the first time in 1980. So that's what I'm going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I actually wish that I had paid more attention to this little piece of information that I crumpled up and threw out the window when I was writing my story for last week, because it actually would have been worth including in last week's episode. So basically, what happened was President Carter apparently told the press in the summer of 1980 that he had some good news about the hostages. And he had, there's a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes that we don't really know about. So I don't know what he was referring to at that point, but whatever it was, it didn't work out, clearly. But at some point he told the press, I've got some good news about the hostages, just like sit back and watch. And when William Casey heard Carter say that, he told the press at the Republican convention in July at the RNC that he was worried about an October surprise because Carter was working to get the hostages released.
Okay.
So he was intentionally bringing this news up to the press about a possible October surprise because he wanted to be able to spin this story if Carter was able to pull it off. He basically wanted the public to think that Carter was only scheming to bring the hostages home
like
because he thought it would benefit him politically. Yeah, that it would help him win the election. Not because he was president and wanted to bring American hostages home from Iran.
He was projecting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, the GOP is very good at that. But yeah, basically Casey thought that if he publicly questioned Carter's intentions, if and when Carter was able to finally pull it off, the public wouldn't be that impressed by it because they sort of already knew it was a possibility and didn't think that Carter had like the best of intentions in making it happen. But even just that, like planting that seed, that bullshit wasn't enough, not surprisingly, for William Casey.
Up. Yeah. Imagine.
So it didn't end there because William Casey is William Casey. So after this, he and his cronies started spreading rumors about illegal payoffs to Iranian officials that the Carter administration, saying that the Carter administration was paying off Iranian officials to speed up the release of these hostages.
Again, projection.
Yes. And in the Carter administration, officials later said that these false rumors actually made it back to the Iranians, which helped sour the actual negotiations that they were trying to make happen. So like these fucking hostages got stuck in Iran. I mean, clearly we know this from last week already anyways, but like even before they started plotting to keep them there intentionally, they were already sabotaging their release just by being assholes. It didn't matter. These hostages, 52 American lives, didn't matter. They were just political pawns for the GOP. But yeah, that's not my mini. I just felt like that was important information to include because I did miss that.
Yeah.
But today I'm going to be talking about some other noteworthy October surprises throughout American history. So I have mentioned the election of 1840 a couple of times now. So obviously I'm going to start there. This is, at least a lot of the articles that I have read believe that this is the first real like October surprise, even though the term wasn't coined yet. So during Martin Van Buren's re-election campaign for president in 1840, federal prosecutors found out that certain top Whig politicians in New York had paid Pennsylvanians to cross state lines and fraudulently vote multiple times in New York's midterm elections in 1838. So these federal prosecutors found out about this, but rather than going to the public with this information as soon as they found out about it, these prosecutors, who were members of the Democratic Party and Van Buren supporters, decided to sit on these charges intentionally until mid-October.
Okay.
Hoping that then they could release this information and this like indictment could swing the election potentially. When they finally did announce this, quote, most stupendous and atrocious fraud.
Oh my God, they love stupendous.
Yes.
Back then.
Yes. Yeah. Democratic newspapers ran with headlines like, quote, a gigantic plot to elect Harrison by fraud, and sound the alarm, your liberties are in danger.
Huh. Okay.
So at first, I know. At first, the Whigs denied these accusations, but eventually one official did come forward to take responsibility. I think sort of in like, he's like, I'll lay down so the rest of the Whigs can,
Yes.
But unfortunately for Van Buren, the public wasn't really shocked or horrified by these accusations at all. They were just like, yeah, you guys are probably doing the same thing. You just didn't get caught. Like everyone is doing this. So take several seats, sir.
Oh wow! So it didn't blow anything up. They're just
It
like,
did not. Yeah, the
yeah.
Whigs. Van Buren lost his reelection
Hmm.
by 6 points, even though this was
Oh wow!
yes,
So yikes.
yeah, yeah. It did not matter. Yeah. The next one that I have for you is October 20th, 1880. The New York Truth published a 3-sentence letter in the paper that was supposedly written by Republican nominee James Garfield. In the letter, he voiced support for Chinese immigration into the United States.
Oh bitch.
Uh-huh. And expressed the opinion that employers had the right to, quote, to buy labor where they can get it the cheapest.
The
Yeah.
American way?
But not if it included the Chinese way.
Okay.
So, yeah. So as we have mentioned many times on the show in the past, America was pretty fucking racist against Chinese immigrants in the 1800s.
And now, yes, correct.
Yes, that is also true. Yes.
Yes.
Americans being racist.
Give me a moment to collect myself. That was truly shocking.
That was an October surprise. Just that.
Yeah.
Americans are racist. Yeah.
So this like fucked up his race? Like
So what was really happening was that both parties were calling for restricting Chinese immigration because everyone hated Chinese immigration. Yeah. Including Garfield himself. He was like, no. But this letter was supposed to be shocking evidence that Garfield was a hypocrite and a liar. And it was supposed to rile up people who were afraid of losing their jobs to the Chinese. They took our jobs.
They took our jarbs. Wait, but did he really write it, or is this a forgery?
No, it was fake.
Okay.
This newspaper published it, but it was a fake. And Garfield eventually publicly announced that it was a fake. But a lot of people did fall for it.
Yeah.
Garfield did still end up winning the election that year, but it was not in the landslide that everybody had expected or predicted. He won by only 0.02 percentage points in the popular vote.
Wow.
Yeah. And he lost the state of California, which was the state most affected by Chinese immigration at the time. So he would have probably won California if it had not been for this fake fucking letter.
Wow. Yeah. Racism.
Imagine that. Not here.
No.
Never.
Freedom and justice for all, don't you know?
It's right there. Yeah.
Eyeballs dart back and forth.
Yeah. I think this is a good time for a little breaksy poo.
Yes.
If you will. We will BRB with some more October surprises.
October surprises?
You know.
No, listeners love when they can't hear what you're saying. Like,
yes, it's great.
That's why we have a podcast.
So, have you ever thought about what would happen if your airline window popped out? Or if you could build a jetpack using only machine guns? Well, turns out you could, but you really shouldn't. Hi, I'm Jill Chacha, host of a podcast that's for folks who like learning about weird stuff. It's called, Well, That's Interesting. This is a comedy science-y show that tells the story behind the facts, and yeah, those stories are funny. It's the perfect way to learn and remember something, which is really useful now that we all have to make small talk again. Every week, I'll be joined with a guest who's coming in cold and learns everything in real time, just like you. Reactions are real, the facts are bizarre, and the laughter is plentiful. Listen to Well, That's Interesting wherever you do podcasts.
We're back. We're back from our little break. So my next, this one is explosive. You need to hold on to your singular butt.
Okay. Yes. I got one half of it.
Yes.
I'm ready.
So leading up to the election of 1920, it looked like Warren G. Harding was a shoo-in for the election. But in the weeks leading up, just before November, a rumor started circulating that he might be, brace yourself, part black.
Stop it.
Yes. A famously racist professor at Worcester College started claiming that Harding had Negro blood.
Wow. Yeah, and this was like eugenics era. Yeah,
Mhm.
1920. Wow.
He's just running around making up stories because he didn't like Harding.
And this is back when you could just print anything. Like
Yeah, totally.
anything.
I mean, unlike today.
I know. When I said that out loud, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
What universe do I think I'm living in right
Yeah.
now? Wow. And did that was that like a big thing?
Yes, Harding's advisors were very worried that this lie could hurt his chances, especially in southern states.
Okay.
And they basically did everything in their power to prove Harding's European ancestry to the public.
Oh my
They're
God.
Yeah. But, either way, as we know, he won the election.
He won, yes.
But
thanks
it
to
was
Flossie.
definitely an October surprise. Oh, there was like a quote about Flossie was like, what did it say? Something about how when she heard about the rumors, she cried until she was red in the face or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good God, girl. Get a grip.
So stupid. Yeah. So next I have the 1940 election. FDR was running for the first and only ever third term that any president has ever had in this country. Europe was at war at the time, and it looked like we might be getting drawn into the war ourselves. So Black American leaders started vocally criticizing FDR for allowing the military to stay segregated. They're like, this is fucking bullshit. It's 1940. Like, let's grow up here.
Yeah.
And he was really worried that this could cost him the black vote. And then less than a month before he couldn't desegregate the army in 1940, especially with the possibility that we were going into the war, because white people would be furious and it would cost him the election.
Yeah.
But then less than a month before the election, an FDR press aide kneed a black police officer in the groin outside of Madison Square Garden, making the situation even worse. Yeah. I'm not sure what the why this happened or how this happened, but it was very public. This was an FDR press agent, and Black Americans were fucking furious.
Yeah.
And things were already not looking great.
Because racism.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what the circumstances, like why this press aide was in Madison Square Gardens near a police officer in the first place. But he was a racist piece of shit, and he worked for FDR. So
he was probably
to try
being
and
arrested or something, and was just
Totally.
like, oh no.
Yeah. I'm white and you're not.
Yeah, come on, get out of here.
Yeah. So to try and get black voters back on his side, Roosevelt came up with an October surprise of his own. Just days before the election, he promoted Colonel Benjamin O. Davis Jr. to Brigadier General. This was the first time a Black American had ever been promoted to that rank in the U.S. Army, ever before. And he also announced that he was going to allow black men in the military to become pilots for the first time ever, which basically created the Tuskegee Airmen. And this was a very big deal for sort of civil rights movement forward in the 40s. And people were very happy about this. And Roosevelt won the election with 55% of the popular vote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So he counter October surprised the October surprise.
Yeah.
My next surprise is in October of 1964. A top aide to LBJ was arrested for disorderly conduct with another man in the Washington, D.C. YMCA.
What?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
The Toledo Blade later described the D.C. YMCA as, quote, yes, so notorious a gathering place of homosexuals that the district police had long since staked it out with peepholes for surveillance.
Oh, yeah, for surveillance.
Peoples,
Yes.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sure. We're
Okay.
just in here surveilling.
We are investigating. We are
Uh-huh.
collecting data. We
Hmm.
are collecting data.
And data.
It's very data and data. It's all very scientific.
Yes,
Why are my
exactly.
pants down? None of your business. Okay.
Because I dropped my pencil, I was taking notes,
There
and
we go.
yes,
Yes.
that's why. It it makes perfect sense.
Peepholes. They're fucking
Yes.
trash for that.
I mean, yeah, ridiculous.
Ugh.
So within 2 days of this arrest, someone in the FBI leaked the story to the RNC, and the Toledo Blade wrote, quote, "For 24 full hours, Republicans and Democrats alike held their breath to see how the nation would react."
Grow
Like,
up.
there's a gay person who is loosely tied to LBJ.
Who's minding his own business. Well,
Yeah.
also being watched, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Toledo.
Yes. But this happened in DC. It just happens to be Toledo that was writing about it.
Again, sounds like Toledo.
Yeah. Lucky for LBJ, a week after this, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev was ousted from power. And then 2 days after that, the UK's Labour Party won a majority in parliament, and the People's Republic of China conducted its first nuclear weapons tests.
Oh, okay.
And so with everything that was going on internationally that month, the public sort of forgot that like a gay person worked for LBJ.
Real stupid.
And yeah, he won the election.
Did LBJ he didn't fire him or anything, right?
I don't really know. I didn't look into that. He very well might have, because it was probably like a big fucking deal that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a little bit after Lavender Scare, but not really much. So 1964.
Yeah.
It's very possible that this
very,
man was
very
fired.
recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were still not cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If they were ever really cool, but
if he was a government employee, it's very realistic that he would have been fired for that.
Yeah.
In 1968, William Casey, our dear friend William Casey,
we hate him.
Who, yes, fuck that man for forever. At this time in 1968, he was working for the Nixon campaign.
Of course,
and Casey was worried. Yes. Surprise. He was worried that President Johnson was trying to put together a peace deal with Vietnam. He feared that if Johnson was able to end the war peacefully, that LBJ's VP, Hubert Humphrey, could win the election in November. Because LBJ didn't have another term coming, but Humphrey was in the running. And Casey was like, no, we can't have that. So just before the election, LBJ announced a halt to the bombings in Vietnam and a start to new peace talks between Saigon and the Viet Cong. And when LBJ made this announcement, Humphrey pulled ahead of Nixon in the polls. But then the Nixon campaign secretly reached out to the president of South Vietnam, telling him that he... Yes. Sound familiar?
Oh my God.
Sound familiar? Yeah. Saying that he shouldn't attend these peace talks, and saying that Nixon would be more supportive of Vietnam than Humphrey would be if they didn't attend these peace talks. So 3 days, 3 days before the election, South Vietnam pulled out of the peace talks and Humphrey lost the election to Nixon.
Okay, so that's the playbook. Yeah, this is what you do.
So literally, we could have ended the Vietnam War earlier, but William Casey wanted Nixon to be president.
Wow, that's so dark.
Yeah.
That's
I could have saved this one to just do a full episode, and maybe I will revisit this, but I didn't read too far into it. I was just sort of reading like a blurb. Yeah, that's William Casey for you, though. See, he had already participated in this kind of fuckery and was like, it worked before. Let's try it again with Iran. And then my final October surprise, in the days leading up to the election in 2000, George W.
Oh.
and Al Gore were tied in the polls when Fox News broke the biggest scandal of Bush's campaign. 24 years earlier, Bush had been arrested for drunk driving in Maine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a big deal at the time. The Bush campaign told reporters that the incident was so long ago that it wouldn't really do much to change voters' minds. But 10 years later, Karl Rove wrote that he thought that the scandal had cost Bush 5 states in the election, even though he still ended up winning. But a lot of people are like that. The math ain't
it came
mathing.
down to the courts, and did he win though? It came down to the courts.
So this is the issue: is like even if it wasn't 5 states that were lost because of this drunk driving thing, people kind of believe that if this news hadn't been broken about the DUI, Bush would have won the popular vote, and the whole like hanging Chad thing in Florida would never have been an issue in the first place. We wouldn't even know about hanging Chads, which is kind of wild to me because it's like this was 23 years ago. It's only 23 years ago, and Fox News broke this news against a Republican candidate.
Oh, yeah.
B, Florida at the time was a swing state still.
Oh my God. Oh, this is upsetting. This record keeping is upsetting. Like, I don't want to know the next thing you're about to say.
Just like that, see, a DUI was, we even cared. Like, a DUI was front page news in the years before, like, presidents with third wives and porn stars in their past.
Yeah, and like rape charges.
Yeah.
Charges, plural.
No.
Yeah,
but
you're
a
right.
DUI from 20 years ago.
Wow,
they were like,
we were so young then. We had standards. Fox News had fucking standards.
I know.
That's like, wow.
23 years ago.
I have so many questions now. I'm like, when did they change? Like, when did they, like, was it 9/11? It was 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything changed with 9/11.
Damn. They called out a Republican. Like, they could have cost him the election.
Yeah.
I mean, they did.
And very nearly did.
He didn't
win the popular vote.
He didn't win. Like, more people voted for Gore.
Yeah.
Damn.
Those fucking hanging Chads.
Yeah. Fucking Florida was a swing state. Ohio was a swing state back then, too.
Yeah.
Trash. Wow.
Yeah. So it's by no means an exhaustive list of October surprises. These are just sort of a few of the most famous and most interesting October surprises that I was able to find. But now, now that people know this term and it's sort of a part of the American lexicon, pretty much everything that happens in October in an election year is labeled an October surprise by somebody. Like, any accusation, any event, like a hurricane, a big storm.
A hurricane? Really? Come on.
Yeah. If it happens in October, someone is going to write about it and say that it's going to swing the election one way or another. There were so many, like when I was looking for lists of October surprises, there were so many, especially recently. And it's not just presidential election.
Oh,
most of the ones that I listed were presidential elections, but like the whole thing with like Herschel Walker and having, that was an October surprise, the abortion allegations, blah, 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 but everyone, but so I should also point out that even though people tend to make a big deal about October surprises every election cycle, a lot of times they don't even end up having like a big impact on the election. Most, a lot of these that I read through were like, he might have lost some percentage points, but like he still won. You know what I mean?
Okay, so in like recent history, October surprises haven't moved the needle, it sounds like.
Sometimes, I mean, I didn't
because there's so many of them. That's
exactly.
Hard.
Yeah. Like literally the most interesting and most recent one that came up in my research was 2000. There were a lot of like more recent ones, but it was like the more recent ones were, there were so much more of them, but they were so much like, or so less interesting. It was like, Obama sneezed. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
not really, but like, yeah, it was
Yeah. He killed a
anything.
fly all
Exactly.
sexfully.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So,
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
Americans, yeah,
those were that was really good. Yeah, I was curious to know what the big ones were. And
yeah, Negro blood and gay people,
oh my God. And
peoples.
DUI. Wow.
Yes.
Outrageous. Just like I thought. Trash.
Trash. But yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that was really we both had very snappy minis. I like it.
Snap, snap.
Snap snap. Yeah, so I'm just drinking water, y'all. In spirit, I'm drinking something with spirits, but currently as old, and we're recording on a Monday, so but my water is empty, so I guess
Yes.
no.
As is mine, yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. It's a me, Stephanie. Very soft. It's
Yes.
very softly spoken, but I feel like I've killed this bit.
Yes.
I'm putting her to bed. Stefania, she did.
And it's a me, Tuxedo.
There we go.
As well.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond Reproach. Thank you to our new audio editor, Tho-MAS. I don't know why I put a weird emphasis on his name, but he's real fancy. You've heard his accent. We know fancy people because
we do.
We like him too.
Mm-hmm. We strive to be as fancy as possible.
Yes. That's why we say things like "we's like him."
Yes. Yes. And it's me.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you. Ciao. Thank you for listening to Beyond Reproach. Please note we are not historians. We are just a couple of drunks who never shut up and love history. A full list of all source information can be found in the show notes on our website. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. Written reviews are especially important. If you like us, please do one of two things. Leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts or send this episode to a friend, family member, or someone who you think would be into it. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And make sure you follow us on Instagram because we post our cocktail recipes the Thursday before each full episode. Please drink along with us if you are not driving. We also have a shop on beyondreproachpod.com. Get your merch, brand yourselves. We also have exclusive content on Patreon where you can directly support the production of our show.